There was a time in my life I had to do it all for myself. I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. I didn't know the love of God was at hand. You guys can sing like that if you want. And all I can say, if you are discouraged and struggling just to make it through another day, you gotta say, gotta let it go, gotta let it go. This is what I have to say, yeah, of course now. And I release and I let go. My spirit around my life, my heart is open wide. Yes, I am only for God. Oh, I release, I let go. Let the Spirit run my life, and my heart's open wide. Yes, I am only for God. No more struggle, no more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. I'm only for God. Yeah, I release, and I let go. Let my spirit run my life. My heart is open and wide. Yes, I am only for God. And no more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light, and I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I am only for God. One more time, yeah. And I release, and I let go. Let my spirit run my life, and my heart's open wide. Yes, I am only for God. Yeah, no more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. And I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I am only for God. And I am free in the Spirit. You guys sing it out. Just let it out. And I am only for God.
Namaste. Okay. Thank you, Leilani and Ron. So today we set an intention for this new year, 2021. Gladys, just a few minutes ago, already set her intention. She says it's going to be a fantastic year. Fantabulous. Like your attitude, Gladys. Optimism. She's already she intends for it to be that way. So today we set our intention for the upcoming year 2021. And we do that today. We'll do that by listening. We'll get still in the silence and we will listen to that sweet, small voice of spirit, that divine, holy voice of spirit, and listen to what that voice says to us. And then when we hear that message today, we'll write it on our stone. So if you joined a little late after I did this, You'll need a white stone, either one of these from Jerusalem or one from outside. And if you don't have a stone with you, just write it on paper, and then afterwards you can grab a stone and transpire it onto there. Transpire it. You know what I mean. Preferably with a Sharpie. I've found they work best. So, and you got your paper ready for your letter writing. I got my colorful paper ready with my ink pen, and we'll do that. And it's a letter that we write to ourselves or to God. It's an action letter, and it'll tell us that we will write to ourselves about how we're going to start going about doing what is on our stone. So first we'll make the intention, we'll listen to Spirit, we'll write what Spirit says on our stone, and then we'll write ourselves a letter saying how we're going to see that happen, a start toward it. I mean, our intentions are well and good, but it requires more than that. It requires leaning toward an action step toward that intention. It requires leaning toward doing something that will make that intention manifest itself and show itself in the next year. So it's a nice way to go into that. Now, as you hold your stone, and if you don't have your stone, just pretend that you're holding your stone. Imagine that you are. Know that you are starting with a clean slate. It's like an open slate, a blank slate, starting over with this slate that has nothing on it. And it's white, which stands for purity. You're childlike. A childlike is open to learning and not being already, told what they're supposed to know. And so we're like innocence. And so holding that stone, knowing that you are starting with this innocent, pure, white, clean slate. And in this ceremony today, we'll write a new name for ourselves, or maybe it'll come to us from Spirit, a new name, or maybe it will come in the form of a word, or maybe a phrase. Don't try to control it, just allow what happens to happen, even if it seems strange or unexpected. Like one woman got the word named Daisy, and she's gone, what the world does that mean? But she didn't question it. She wrote it on her stone. And it was a few days later that she got that she was going to be more daisy flower, free flowing, that kind of thing. So that's what we're going to be doing. So feel the energy of your stone. Look at your stone. Look at it in detail and feel the energy of it. And hold it next to your heart tenderly and gently, and infuse your energy right back into that stone. Yes. So we'll lay those stones aside for now. There is something behind the stone, the white stone ceremony. It's an ancient ritual, and it started back in the days when Jesus was teaching. And in those days, when someone went to prison, were in bondage, in jail, in prison, when they did their time, then when they got out, they would be given a white stone. It was their blank slate, their freedom. It signified you start over. You took care of it. You did your time. Now you're out of bondage. You're out of prison, and this is your freedom. So we'll write a new name on that stone, a new name, not what was before. And you must carry this stone at all times, so that if anyone stops you, it is your way of saying to them, I'm free. I did my time. I took care of it. I'm out of bondage. And so in many ways, we are in bondage with the things that we think about ourselves, and the negative emotions that we sometimes feel, the upset that we feel about the way we view things. And today we're going to move to a freedom from the bondage of all of those things that sometimes get in our way of our freedom, sometimes self-imposed prison. So we have our white stone, and it's going to have our new name on it. And It comes actually from Revelations in the Bible, Revelations 2, verse 17. And at some point, a Unity minister took this Bible verse and made it into a white stone ceremony. So it's always a favorite. And so it says, it starts out by saying, let anyone who has an ear listen to what the Spirit is saying to the churches. Now, what does that mean? We're not talking about our outer ear, but the ear to the soul that's within each and every one of us. The ear in the soul that hears that still small voice as it whispers wisdom and understanding and truths to us in the time that we're ready, in the manner that we're ready. And so the question is, are we receptive? The ear also signifies receptivity, to listen and to hear and to take it in. And we develop that inner ear, that inner listening quality by getting out of our head, out of our intellect, by connecting with our heart, by making that journey from the head and the intellect down to our heart. We do that through spiritual practices such as prayer, meditations, denials. And some of you are already writing on your stone, you're already getting the message. I invite you to wait until you meditate and hear Spirit speak to you. But if it's already coming and you want to write it down, go for it. But we're going to do some meditation where we really get into a silent listening space. So we develop that listening quality through denials, affirmations, other spiritual tools, and especially through prayer and meditation. We listen to Spirit, sweet, divine, holy, sacred Spirit, and we sit in the silence. It's a journey that leads us from our head to our hearts. We'll go on that journey in just a few minutes. Now, what does it mean when they say churches? Saying to the churches. Metaphysically, the churches represent our consciousness, our sense of awareness, our present beingness, everything, all that we're aware of that's not in our subconscious, in spirit, soul, and body. Let me say that again. Consciousness, a sense of awareness, our present beingness, everything, all that we're aware of that's not stuffed down into our unconscious mind, spirit, soul, and body. It's good to understand the importance of consciousness in spiritual growth. And it's so important that my next talk in a couple of weeks is going to be around why that's important and how we develop consciousness, more consciousness. So on to the next part of the verse. To everyone who conquers, meaning who overcomes the challenges, I will give some of the hidden manna. Okay, let's go back to the word conquer. Anyone who overcomes, who sees beyond the appearances in the world, who corrects their shortcomings of the ego that are of an intellectual nature, with the intention to train the mind or the intellect to connect with true divine nature. We don't get rid of that, but we train it to connect with true divine nature instead of erroneous beliefs and negative emotions. It's a discipline that requires mindfulness to do it consistently. Charles Fillmore, co-founder at Unity, said that if we work on developing that discipline, that eventually we will spiritualize our whole intellect. So it's a matter of spiritualizing what's in our head and our intellect by connecting with divine. And it's not an outer war. It's an inner war. It requires surrender. Leilani and Ron's song, we release and we let go and we surrender. It requires being in the world, but not being of it. Kind of like a lotus blossom floating beautifully on top of the water with its roots in the muck and the mire, in the world, not of it. And yet, how many times have we not surrendered to that sweet spirit that calls us in every moment? When we do surrender to spirit and go within, only then do we conquer. What a paradox that is. Only in surrender is there victory. Not outer surrender and victory, but inner. We let go. We let God. We be the God that's in us and through us and around us and as us. Inner. That's where we experience the real power and the courage and the strength and the love and the peace and the joy of that hidden spiritual manna, that spiritual food that Jesus said, I have food that you are not aware of, all that we need to live. And in the days of wandering in the wilderness with Moses, all they needed to do was pick it up. I mean, they didn't have to do anything. The manna was sent from God every day, and they just needed to collect it. All they needed to live. And so I have a joke for you. Moses lost in the wilderness, and the people are following and recalculating, and he's saying, knock it off. Do you ever feel lost in the wilderness? Like you're in the wilderness lost? Do you ever feel that way? That confusion that comes about us about what all that's going on around us? Confused about what's going on around around you in the world, what's going on in you, all that you're experiencing in your body and your psyche and your mind and your emotions, all that's going around in the world. How could people behave like that? I mean, I feel so lost sometimes, so helpless, so hopeless, and confused about what can I, as one person, possibly do toward changing this craziness. Do you ever wonder that? Not knowing what's around the corner sometimes. Oh my gosh. What's next? What's going to happen next? That's disconcerting. What is the best thing for me to do? What is the right thing for me to do? What can I do? And in Moses' day, as I said, they only had to collect the manna, the food that God was giving them. They had to do nothing else. And it's the same for us, folks. And we conquer and we receive the hidden manna, meaning our full potential, by consciously surrendering, letting go of what no longer serves us. We did a lot of that last Sunday at the burning bowl. Well, we didn't do the burning bowl. Instead, we wrote on our papers and we dissolved it in water. But however, we release. And we're releasing today with the song that Leilani and Ron so beautifully did. Releasing, letting go of what no longer serves us. That's when we can conquer. It's a start. And we experience hidden manna that's not visible to the world. We experience the hidden manna, the spiritual food that is for us and us alone, each of us. It is what each of us needs to hear and know in our hearts at this time in our evolution, in our consciousness. And no one else can take it from you. No one else can know unless you decide to share with them. And that's your choice, of course. But it's hidden manna that surpasses all human understanding. It's an entirely new source of energy and nourishment. It's the vital life substance, that vital life energy of spirit that is in every cell in your body and is everywhere. It's directly assimilated into our entire being when it comes to us, when we have this realization. Either if you think of the out from outside you or inside you, I'm encouraging you to look at the God that's inside you today. And it's assimilated into your entire being, and it will be a little later here, just a few minutes. It's derived from our higher levels of being within. and it benefits our whole being. It nourishes our soul first and then our body. So it's important in physical health, emotional health, mental health, all of it. And then we know what is ours to do. No more confusion. And then we go on to the next part of the biblical verse. And we'll give you a white stone, and on that white stone is written a new name that no one knows except the one who receives it. This is revealed to you by God or by your higher self or by that divine aspect of you, however you call, whatever you call it, however you think of it. No one else can intervene. No one else is aware of your new name. It's a new nature, entirely new. And when people had overcome in the old days, they were set free from their bondage, they received that stone, white, metaphysically representing purification, new, innocent, blank slate. And in this white stone, this purified state of consciousness, we know that the Father and I are one. The Father and me are one. The changed name signifies a change in consciousness. And that is so important in our spiritual development, our spiritual growth. I'd like to take us into meditation, and we're going to do a song though, and the song is called I Am Opening Up in Sweet Surrender to the Luminous Love Light of the One. I am opening up in sweet surrender to the luminous love light of the One. And we're going to let that song take us into meditation. You can go ahead and close your eyes now if you like, and just be with God during this song and afterwards when I take us through the words of today's meditation. Let those words take us into this time of meditation where we consciously invite the activity of spirit, the whole spirit of God, into our heart and into our mind for the next few minutes. As we surrender to allow spirit to speak to us in the silence, we make space for unlimited possibilities to manifest. In creating a space in our consciousness, we open ourselves to unlimited possibilities, to our greatest potential in this next year. And as we sit in silence with spirit, we allow ourselves to be filled with the light, the love, the wisdom, the understanding, the guidance, the power of spirit. We sit in the silence and we truly listen. So that we can set our intention for a willingness to be quiet, to quiet our minds from all the distractions and listen to that still small voice of spirit. We're grateful to know that the good is already being revealed to us, our good, our greatest good. There's an aliveness and an evolution in this process. There's an inspiration that's becoming the birthing of the new me. Ways I can make a difference. Calling forth heaven on earth. There's no limit to God's love and strength in me. No limit to God's love and strength as me. Through me, I am shown the way. I am being led. I am being guided. Right now. Letting me know which spiritual step will open and expand me and fulfill me in a deeper place than I've ever been fulfilled before. Will expand me to continue the great work that lies before me, my new spiritual identity, and deeper awareness of what God has planned for me and you. What has come for you to be lived out, to be expressed by you, lived out by you, embodied as you. It is what God is calling you to be. It is what God is calling you to do. A whisper from your soul that you are so much more than you have ever let come into expression. Perhaps it's a new career, perhaps a new title, perhaps a new quality, perhaps a new phrase, a new word, a new name, however it comes through. Spirit is pressing it out through you. I invite you to give your ego a few minutes of rest. Let that divine holy self in you come through. Give yourself permission to know you have a new quality, a new name. And we say, I now free myself to live more fully. I now release limitations of my past, old beliefs that I thought were valid. I surrender now to sweet spirit's love and grace, always love and grace. I surrender limiting images of who I truly am. And I know myself to be glorious, a glorious expression of my divine source. And I know I am here to make a difference. Imagine yourself now leaving your prison of limitation, perhaps of your own creation, it doesn't matter. Leaving behind the hackles of negative, unrealistic thinking and emotions. Affirm gently, I am free, I am unlimited, open to the possibilities before me. I face challenges with enthusiasm and faith, knowing I move forward on a path that is only for me. Reflect and meditate on a new name or word that you claim for this year. And it will inspire you and call forth your highest and best. It's already written on your heart. Trust that, knowing that in the perfect time, it will reveal itself to you. Just relax and let that name or word gently come. That word that will affirm all that you'll accomplish in the coming year, all that you are meant to be, all that you are meant to express. Listen now in the silence. The door opens. Walk through to your freedom. You're handed your white stone. Feel it, hold it in your hands, feel its energy. Infuse your energy into it. Hold it gently, tenderly next to your heart. As a thankfulness flows through you as you receive your new name. And the revealing of what that means, that new name, that new word, will take on greater and greater meaning as we move through this upcoming year. It will be sacred, holy wisdom from a wise heart, calling you to be the one. In gratitude, we affirm this for ourselves and we pray it is done. As you are ready, if you have not already done so, you can write your word or phrase on the stone. And if you don't have it now, you will. It's calling you. And at the perfect moment, at the right time, it will come to you. Accept this consciousness of ever-increasing good, your ever-increasing good. Carry it on your stone as a reminder of that promise. Anytime you look at it, realize you have the gift, the choice, the gift of making the choice to live differently for a more fulfilling life, to begin anew, to connect and co-create with God. Let it remind you that you are free. You have a new identity. You are a free person. Allow yourself to open to the unlimited possibilities. Allow your truest, highest, most glorious self to emerge. Just take a few minutes to be with that stone, that white stone. And now we move to a letter to God or a letter to yourself, the God in you, the God as you, the God through you, the God all around you. So you can look at it as a letter to God. You can look at it as a letter to your higher self, a letter to yourself, however you want to do that. So we claimed that new name, that new word, and wrote it on the stone. That's where we claimed it. Now in the letter, we are going to write words about how that quality or that name or that word will show up, as if it's already done in our consciousness, as if we move to the end of the year. So it's December 2021. So on your paper, well, before I go there, I got a joke for you. A little girl named Lucy says, "Dear God, are you really invisible or is that just a trick?" Lucy. So that's her letter to God. Yours may look a little different. So next slide will show an example of what yours might look like. Next slide. So you might want to date your letter December 1st, 2021. So that's next December, as if it is already the end of the year. And so, dear, and then you insert your name, first name, last name, nickname, whatever you want to put there. And you might want to say, this is what I wrote on my white stone in January 2021. Now that a year has gone by, I realize it has expressed itself in numerous times over this past year, and this is how. So you might borrow my words, or you might just put your own words in. And so just take a few minutes to write how that quality and that name is going to show up for you in this year. Be writing on your paper. Tim, can you go back to the last slide? Leave it up for a few more minutes. I'm seeing that a few of you are raising your heads. Looks as if a few of you are finishing up. No rush. Those of you who are still writing. Some of you are writing a book, I can tell. I think most everyone is finished now. You may choose to go back and edit it and add to it later. So normally what we would do would be have you put this in a self-addressed envelope and hand it and seal it and give it to us, and we would have our prayer chaplains pray over it over the next year and put them in a nice, beautifully tied up ribboned box, and we would pray over that box of letters for the next year. And then next December 1st, we would mail these back to you so that you could look at how it's come to fruition, what you wrote in this letter now. So what you're doing is setting an intention of how this word on your stone is going to manifest itself. So since this year is a little different, here's what we'll do. You're welcome to put it in an envelope or not, fold it up or not, ceremoniously put it into a pretty box with a pretty ribbon or whatever. But I'm inviting you to store it in your attic. This looks like my attic. Well, I wish my attic looked like this. Mine's a mess, but Tim and I are working on that for the new year. Or store it in the garage or wherever you store your Christmas stuff. Store it in with that, or in with your Halloween decorations if you want to get it out sooner. It's where you'll find it next year, either at Halloween or in the fall or at Christmas. So with that in mind, I'd like for Tim to unshare the screen now. And I would like to give anyone the opportunity, if you so desire, to share what name was on your stone and if any significance you make of it at this time, or if you didn't get a name and or if you don't know the significance of what was on your stone. Would anyone like to share? No pressure.
Yeah, I'll share mine.
Okay.
As you noted the other day, I never really completed this exercise last year because I really didn't know what to say. But as I was listening to you in the meditation this morning, you talked about basically God expressing itself, him or herself, into the world through us. And the word that came to me was brilliance. And brilliance is one of those words that can mean bright and shining. It can mean intelligence. It can mean something excessively creative. And all of those things apply to the divine. So my word is brilliance.
Oh, so beautiful. Thank you, Tim. Tell me, would you all feel more comfortable if I stop the recording, or are you okay?
Stop the recording.
Stop the recording.